Broadcasting from the studios of Business RadioX, it's time for Advisory Insights, brought to you by Oberman Law Firm, serving clients nationwide with tailored service and exceptional results. Now, here's your host.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Advisory Insights Podcast. Well, first, I'd like to welcome our dental clients who followed us over to dentallawradio.com and also our new listeners. I could not be more excited about what we're doing with Advisory Insights Podcast. We had a platform previously, and we discovered that we are getting national exposure on our platforms and what we said before. So we took a little bit of a break, and we decided, you know what? We're going to take what you can use no matter whether you are a healthcare practice or a global company. We're going to keep things simple. We're going to keep it basic. And what our clients need to know as on a day-to-day basis on how to stay hopefully out of trouble. And we like to thank North Fulton Business Radio and Business RadioX for hosting us. But we're gonna start gearing this thing up pretty hard. So what are we going to talk about today? Well, let me just tell you this: HR in this great world that we live in of the Great Resignation, HR is a headache. There's no doubt about it. So I've been talking for a while on employee manuals and guidelines. I want to start off on a couple of things that, again, no matter what size you are, you need to take a look at this. First and foremost, I don't care if you have $1 million a year on revenue or $50 billion. You need to look at your HR annually. You got to take a look at what the company culture is, what the head count is. What are your benefits? Are your renewals up? And, in today's world, I've been stressing for a long, long time, look, employee manuals will either make you or break you, and they're just no longer an option. For those of you who are in the HR, and we had a really, really, really great podcast with Sherm and Lanta. For those of you that don't know what Sherm and Lanta is, it's an unbelievable organization, and we get a lot of information from those guys on a regular basis. And it's employee manuals, it's HR, it's just a lot of internal information. But I want to tell you something. What is no longer an option, you've got to know state and federal law. You got to know about EEOC. You got to know about National Labor Relations Board. You have to know the Age Discrimination and Employment Act of 1967. You got to know Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. You have to know the Equal Pay Act of 1963. You got to know the Workers' Adjustment and Retraining and Notification Act. You got to know sections 1981, 1983 of the Civil Rights Act. You got to know the American Disabilities Act. You got to know the the Family for Medical Leave Act. You got to know the Employees Retirement Income Security Act. You have to know the Old Benefits Protection Act. You have to know the Age Discrimination Act of 1967. How in the world are you going to run a business if you don't know what those things are? Those have got to be in your manual. There's no longer option. If you don't know any of those, if you don't know a lot of those, or you don't know really all those, you need to figure out what you're doing. You need to look internally what you're doing. Failure to plan. I can't tell you how many clients we have that are global, local, regional, and national that have no idea what I'm talking about. And that's extremely dangerous. Not only is it costly, it's a nightmare. So, a couple of provisions are really no longer an option that you really, again, drilling it down. What do you need? What do you need? First and foremost, in your employee manuals, you gotta have the at-will statements. You gotta have the disclaimers. You gotta have the EOC statement. You gotta have the anti-harassment, issues. You've got to have the wage and salary, leave absence, drug testing, social media policies. You got to have the non-solicitation, employment acknowledgments of the manual. How many employers out there have given their employee manuals to people, documents, and have no signatures acknowledging? If it's not in writing, it never happened. I'll just tell you that right now. Do you have your Family Medical Leave Act policies? Do you have the non-gender discrimination salary ranges? When is the last time you thoroughly evaluated your salaries, ranges, gender neutral? If they are not gender neutral, you are in a world of hurt. Are we looking at non-discrimination in dress codes now? Are we looking at tattoo issues? Are we looking at age inquiries of prospective employees? Age inquiries, that's a no-no. We're going to cover that in probably our future podcasts. Holiday pay, voting time, education assistance program. Look, I know I ran through this so fast. I could probably spend 40 minutes on each topic that I ran through on the employee manual requirements, on employee guideline requirements. Here's the key. Again, we're taking what we've done on a local level, regional, national level, global level. Again, whether you are a small healthcare provider or whether you're a billion-dollar company, these are the basics you've got to know. We have clients that have no HR client, but they're doing $500 million a year. I don't really understand that. So look, if you just took one thing away, it is you've got to know these things. If you have any questions, let us know. Hopefully, by listening to the podcast, again, we ran through a lot of information. I could talk, an hour on each topic that we talked about. The key is evaluate, evaluate, evaluate. And these are the kind of things we want to bring to you on a very, very scaled down basis on advisorypodcast.com. And we're going to continue to do this. We're going to continue to broadcast to our constituents, to our clients, to our friends in the industry, whether it's healthcare, whether it's general business, that these are things you have to know. Well, that is going to be our first episode of Advisory Insights Podcast.com. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us at 770-886-2400 or visit us at obermanlaw.com. Or in this great world that we live in, email. Please feel free to email at Stuart, S-T-U-A-R-T, at obermanlaw.com. Thank you, everyone, and we appreciate your attendance in today's podcast, and we look forward to jumping on some more hot topics. Have a great day, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us on Advisory Insights. This show is brought to you by Oberman Law Firm, a business-centric law firm representing local, regional, and national clients in a wide range of practice areas, including healthcare, mergers and acquisitions, corporate transactions, and regulatory compliance.